Good evening, everybody. It's Friday night on the Turnbuckle Bandwagon. I'm Matt D. My guest today, my buddy, ring announcer extraordinaire. You see her freelance anywhere they'll give her a microphone. She was at the Collective last weekend. Still recovering from that. Val Capone. Val, what's up?
Hey, Matt. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm excited. I'm happy for you to make the time. I know it's been a week for everybody
It's
with
been
getting
a
back
week.
from the show.
Yeah, it's definitely been a week. But no, thank you for having me on. I'm always stoked to talk about wrestling and, roller derby and baseball and
Yeah.
everything awesome in the world. So
Yes, for those of you that don't know, Val and I are friends from the roller derby world. I spent 5 years as an NSO volunteer, coach,
a
helper among
non-skating official.
NSO, not skating official.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of coaching. I coached 5 games. I think I'm 3-2 as a coach.
Hey, you want to see something? Because we
Sure.
were talking about European money before we logged on.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a gold medal coach or a gold
Yeah,
plate
there we
coach.
go. There we go.
It's from the men's roller derby World Cup in 2014. I was one of the coaches for USA Derby.
That's awesome. Well, my friend Guy Fox, Jill, she coaches over at she coached the men's Argentinian team. Did you get me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, Fox.
Yeah,
Yeah, Fox is awesome. Yeah,
yeah.
she's my go. So we've known each other for a bit. We're both wrestling fans as well. But Val is. I'm just interviewing a guy that sits in a stand. She's out there announcing and all that stuff. And when did you start announcing for Freelance?
Well, my first ring announcing gig was in 2016, completely by accident. It was with AAW.
Okay.
I'm really good friends with Dr. Keith. He's one of the producers, bookers. He holds a camera. He goes woo at all the shows. Like that's how we talk to each other. We have since I was a teenager.
Okay.
And we used to go see ECW shows together. And
Oh wow. Okay.
yeah, we knew each other from our back in the day punk rock days. And
Gotcha.
so, yeah, and I was pretty much the only girl that hung out that was in the scene that liked wrestling. And,
Okay.
so he and I became good buds, kind of like me and you. Like we're both derby people, but we also love wrestling.
Yeah.
So flash forward to 4 years ago, and he texted me. I was working at Wrigley Field. I'm a beer vendor there. That's my shoot job, I guess you could say.
Doing the Lord's work, slinging beer
Yes.
to the Wrigley faithful.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you need to drink a lot of beer when you're a Cubs fan. And I've been one since birth, so I can say that. But yeah, so Keith messaged me and said, "You coming to the show?" I said, "Of course." And he goes, "Can you get there a little early, such as before doors?" And one thing, bits of conversation, because I'm not really on my phone at work. It turns out they need me to fill in as a ring announcer. So because of that, my first match I ever announced was Ray Orris versus Prince Mustafa Ali.
Okay.
And,
Wow.
yeah, NBD, right?
Yeah,
Just to make things a little bit even weirder and more awesome, Mustafa, Ali bounced off the barricade, like right here.
Oh.
And both his eyes went that way. And there was no, we had to X out, so.
Really?
My first match I ever called was a match called due to injury. And it was it was legit. He sustained a pretty intense concussion. And good guy Ali, he profusely apologized to me because he was like, "I can't believe I ruined your first match." And I said, you didn't ruin it. You gave me an experience that, I learned a lot from. And anyway, so that turned into Andy Long, who is one of the promoters for Freelance Underground and also one of the officials for Freelance and Shimmer on the regular. He's been working in wrestling since 2003 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He had seen me or heard me or something. And so unfortunately, Kirby, the voice of, all of Chicago independent wrestling for the most part, he was ill. And so he needed a fill-in. And so he said, "Hey, what about Val? She's at every show. She knows all the wrestlers. And I sound okay on a microphone." So yeah. And then Matt Nix happened to be on that show. And I was like, "Hey, Nix, you got a ring announcer for tomorrow at Logan Square Auditorium?" And he was like, "Actually, I figured I would ask you." So while Kirby was recuperating, I kind of filled in as Kirby Jr. He's like my ring announcing big brother. He's so wonderful. And so when he was healthy and came back, Matt and Nick said, well, Kirby's our guy, but we want you to be our guy too. Like, we want you to be a part of the family. I don't want to lose you. So let's create a job for you. And so for, the last about 4 years, I've been ring announcing and backstage correspondent, which wasn't ever a thing for Freelance or Freelance Underground. So it made me feel really good that they liked me enough that they wanted to create a job. So now, you're saying, oh, you're just some guy that interviews, but hey, buddy, I interview too. So don't beat yourself up, Matt.
Well, I saw we had become friends, and then I know you were doing wrestling stuff. Like when I signed up for IWTV, then Powerbomb TV years ago when they got going.
Yeah.
I signed up for like the free trial. I was like, let me see what's in here because I had kind of known of Beyond. I knew Beyond had their stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the first Freelance show I watched was one you were announcing.
Oh, cool.
It started with the famous scramble match, which is, I find trends in wrestling are very just weird and cyclical, because the scramble match became, I associate it with Freelance, and like a year later everyone's doing scramble matches. We even do them up here in New England, so it's just because people like it. It gets people engaged. It's a great way to start the show.
And it's also a really great way to get people into wrestlers that they're not familiar with. It introduces a lot of wrestlers at once to you. And, some of them become fan favorites, and some of them like just end up ruling the scramble, and it's kind of cool. I actually, this weekend I had to introduce a sensational scramble for a Shimmer. And it was like blowing my mind because I'm like, whoa, this is so Freelance. But yeah, I'm cheap plugging it right here.
There you go.
But so I do ring announcing, backstage correspondent, and then this crazy pandemic thing that we're all trying to survive through together.
Yeah.
Hit really hard, and all of a sudden, every single job I had just vanished overnight. I was actually out working at spring training in Arizona. I go out there for February and March.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know you're out there. Yeah, for spring training. So you worked up to a certain day, and then that was just like, okay, we're done.
No, it was quite literally, there was inclement weather, canceled the game on March 12th because if it rains in Phoenix, it like shuts the whole city down.
Jesus.
Yeah. And then as we were closing back up, because we were prepping to open that day, and then they said, it's not, the game was called due to inclement weather, but the MLB is halting spring training, and the start of the season is going to be delayed by at least 2 weeks, but you should plan on May or June. And so I had a rental car out there. I had a house, like I stay with a friend out there, but I had, everything to live there for 2 months. All of a sudden was like, boop, done. And I am a high risk individual because I have Crohn's disease and I take immunosuppressants. I inject myself with very expensive poison every 6 weeks, but it keeps me, able to do what I love. So, but my dad asked me not to fly home. He was very, very concerned. So a buddy of mine who also is a crony, he lives in Arizona now. He's from here. We drove across country, and it actually ended up being a really surreal and awesome road trip.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's a little bit of good in like this weird, unknown pandemic.
Yeah.
I don't want to say hellscape, but it feels like that sometimes.
It feels never ending. That's what it feels like. But unfortunately, when I was on my way home, my dad said, hey, so we split a duplex, and I live in the upstairs half, and he lives in the downstairs. And it's pretty funny because we're like, best buds and look out for each other, and I'll like bring food to him, and he'll be like, oh, I made this for you because it's your favorite. Like, it's kind of cool. And, we have a good time. But as I was driving home, he said, I don't think you should come home, kiddo. I think you might want to stay with some friends, because he was sick and he didn't know how sick. And then he got very sick for 2 months straight. So not only was I severely unemployed suddenly, and I also manage the bar staffing for music festivals. I do a lot of that for Chicagoland festivals, and I bartend at 2 music venues here in Chicago. And I bartend at Nisei Lounge, which is the oldest bar by Wrigley Field. It's a big Malort bar, if you've ever, had a Malort. So suddenly all these wonderful jobs that were supposed to be kicking off big time disappeared and vanished.
every job you have is like a public facing job, and
Yeah.
they just were all gone
Mm,
in like the
mm.
space of 4 days.
Not even. It was really cool because I came home and everybody was really worried, obviously, because they're like, oh man, now you're out of work. We're going to give you our bar shifts. And, this concert's coming up and we'll put you on this. And hey, I know you don't work at my bar, but I have an extra shift. You want to bartend? And I was like, yes, thank you, good humans. And then everything in Chicago shut down.
Ugh.
Everything. Curfew at 9 p.m. Like, it was crazy. Um, so in the middle of having no job, no income, I had to pay 2 rents because I stayed at an Airbnb across the way. It was just a mess. So all I had to do is watch wrestling. I spent a lot of time on IWTV, like a lot.
A lot of
Um,
content, folks. A lot of
yeah,
content.
a lot of
Best 10
content.
bucks you can spend, really.
Dude, for real. Like when people are like, "Oh, what's a free code?" I'm like, first off, get over yourself. Definitely try. If you don't know what we're talking about, if you don't know the goodness of IWTV, definitely use Freelance as your code for 5 free days, a 5-day trial. But it's so worth it, and it
It is.
supports so many people. You know what I mean?
It's introduced me to stuff freelance underground,
Yeah.
Zona 23, which is amazing, which is wrestling in a Mexican junkyard, and it's a legit
So cool.
working junkyard. Just so just all kinds of crazy stuff. Love it.
Yeah, it's so cool. But so what happened with me is, I also work for Warrior Wrestling, and for Warrior, I am the backstage correspondent. So I get to do cool stuff like, I don't know, interview Mick Foley after he beat the crap out of Frank the Clown. It wasn't like my favorite day ever at work.
Any day Frank the Clown gets beat up is a good day.
Yeah, and then
If folks, and if you don't know who Frank the Clown is, it's a blessing. As a wrestling fan, I know who he is, and
well,
anyone who beats him up is instantly in my good list.
yeah, especially when he's like, I don't know, a living legend, Hall of Famer, who has a
Yeah,
really awesome daughter who's very cool also. So like Frank getting beat up, great day at the office. But
it
then
is.
getting to interview the man that did it, even better. Oh, and by the way, he's Hall of Famer Mick Foley. Like,
Yeah,
pretty cool. So, we were all like forlorn and just, hoping everybody stays healthy and safe and doing whatever we could. I started picking up shifts at Pro Wrestling Tees. I woman their heat press now. So that's pretty cool. So I basically talk about wrestling all day, which, I kind of like to do. Um, and then I got the call from Warrior saying, hey, we're going to run Friday Night Lights. We're going to run on the football field, which I was super excited. I was super anxious, but knowing Principal Steve and how Warrior rolls, and they're very good at like taking care of everybody, I knew that it would be safe. I knew it would be a positive experience. And so I said, what the heck? Let's do this. And then unfortunately, our lead commentator, Rich Bettini, couldn't make it because he lives in Gainesville. So he couldn't fly in due to, COVID.
yeah,
And so we were going to try to run remote, but on a football field at a high school. So
yeah. That's tough.
yeah, so I got a text from Rich saying, "Hey, I'm throwing your name in for commentary." I was like, "Huh? What? I've never done commentary." And he said, "Oh, shove it. You've done commentary for roller derby for over a decade. You can do it." And
Exactly.
yeah, thankfully through him and Nick Houseman, who is one of the other voices of Warrior, I was somehow able to make people believe I'm good at commentary. So now I'm a commentator too.
Nice. And Warrior, they put together those stadium cards were solid. Were really good, folks. Go track
Yeah.
those down. Those are worth. I think they're not on IDBTV yet. They're on, I forget what platform they're on.
Fight TV.
They're on Fight, but
Yeah.
they're worth it. Go watch those cards.
I'll
Good stuff.
tweet some. I'll tweet some links because there's like the Stadium Series bundle, which is like all three of them.
Those are okay.
But
All those ones.
oh my gosh, they're all so amazing. And look, I swear to Dicka, like I did not plan this whatsoever. I wore this to work because it's Chicago, and so you need to have layers. So unless they're long, sleeves are wrong. I always cut all the sleeves off my t-shirts, flannel, and hoodie, right? And now I'm looking at myself in the Zoom camera, and I'm wearing basically every promotion I work with. Um, because I also now do commentary for Zello. So
Okay.
the green is Zello plus Shotzi. Oh, oh,
I think Zella's got a show this weekend, don't they?
yeah, tomorrow in Milwaukee. I'm super excited for it. So
Okay.
yeah.
I've got my Big Starks brand
Oh
that I just got.
yes. Dude, they
I
were.
talked to Billy over the summer, just at random. I had seen her at shows, and she's just amazing. So I reached out.
I was just gonna say that she's amazing. That was the exact adjective I was gonna use to describe her,
She,
because never mind, she's very skilled in the ring, especially like she's only been doing it a couple of years. I think like 2 years. She just
yeah,
passed her wrestling anniversary, I believe. But she's 15,
yeah,
and
she's in high school. It's she's just
she's she's so great. We were like talking about we were coming in the back towards the front, like going out from backstage or whatever you want to call it. It was like a giant barn. Um, and so we were just like chit chatting, and I was talking about roller derby and she was talking about cheerleading, and it was just so cool. She's so mature and together and driven, and she's really, really like just she wants to absorb everything and learn everything she can. She's really awesome. She like I don't mean to sound so cliche, but that kid's got a bright future ahead of her.
she does one of the fun, but she is still a kid. When I talked to her about her match with Kylie Ray,
Yeah.
she's like she didn't know she was wrestling Kylie. Like her mom knew, Mouse knew, everyone knew until like they told her, and she had forgotten to like eat that day or something. Like she's still a kid,
Yeah.
which is great. But I think in the course of 12 months, when you can wrestle Kylie Ray, Killer Kelly and Deonna Purrazzo, and have a great showing against all three,
All of them.
the match against Deonna, I didn't
And
know
then
how.
close out a 3-day weekend.
Yeah. So,
I'm sorry. My internet's a little spotty. I do apologize.
no, we're working with it. So talk to me so we can get into the collective stuff.
Yeah.
How did that come? How did that land on your doorstep?
Well, okay. So I love wrestling and I've missed it so, and I have nothing but free time these days. So before Indiana got put on the quarantine list for Chicago, because Chicago specific there's 26 states, I want to say, and Indiana just got put back on this week. So I had until Friday to visit Indianapolis, meaning today's Friday.
That's right.
Before I wasn't allowed to visit anymore.
Oh, geez.
But so basically I was planning on going to support, because even though I am a high risk individual, I'm on immunosuppressants, I do have asthma. I'm very safe. I do everything. I keep away from people. I wear my mask at all times. I even did it while I was ring announcing and doing commentary since the Friday Night Lights show in August.
Yeah.
For every single gig, even the huge ones this weekend, I still wear my mask all the time, sanitize. I don't hang out like I used to. I normally go out for like food or drinks. I don't do that. It's just not safe.
Yeah, I got you.
So I was going to go to support and kind of keep an eye on it. And then I said, well, you know what? You're never going to know if you don't ask. And Freelance and Freelance Underground have a showcase at just about midnight on Saturday night. So screw it. I'm just going to ask. And I was like, hey, do we need any interviews or anything done? Because I'm assuming Kirby's ring announcing. And then James, one of the bookers for Freelance Underground, who was one of the unsung heroes of Collective Weekend, he basically didn't leave the venue all weekend from Thursday until Sunday night. Who even knows? Monday morning, he lived there in the back. He helped run the whole show. He said, actually, we were hoping you do commentary with Sterling. So instantly, my lady Mark Hart was like, oh, because I never thought I'd ever be able to do commentary, especially for Freelance and Freelance Underground. Are you kidding me? So I was just super excited. And then I had reached out to Effy when the Collective was supposed to be in Tampa. I said, hey, we work together all the time on Freelance. He and I are buds. I'm a bi woman. So I was like, Effy's Big Gay Brunch is so important to me. And I wanted to represent because there's so much bi-erasure. I wanted to represent and be like, love who you love as long as you love, right? That's always been my motto. So Effy then came around and I messaged him. I didn't hear anything, but I also know he's a little busy. He's got to give out all those Effy awards. I believe you received one.
Yep.
You're a recipient of the Effy award. I can't believe I'm talking to an Effy award winner. I'm so
I know, right? Look at that.
I'm so honored. Oh, gorgeous.
Yep.
But so he was very busy giving out awards. And then finally he reached out to me and said, hey girl, are you available? I would love to put you on commentary, but kind of have you do a hybrid. And I was like, huh? Okay. And he said, I would love for you to co-host the show with Jay Rose. And that blew my mind because I love Jay Rose.
Who doesn't? Who does? If you don't love Jay Rose, I can't deal with you.
Crazy people don't love Jay Rose. And Like, you've got to be crazy to not love that human being. Like, he's such an amazing person.
And he does everything. Like there's
He does. You know, I know everybody's like, oh, the Swiss Army knife, the Swiss Army knife. It's like, no, the J. Rose knife.
it,
Like,
it we've changed the
like,
name. It's J Rose
yeah,
Knife.
he's like class of his own. Like, he's amazing. And so, like, and we have similar yet very different styles. Like, we just love wrestling so much, and it just kind of like explodes out of us is what we have in common. But the way that we deliver it is, I think, pretty different. So it was kind of cool to get to be like a bisexual woman and a pansexual man, like coming together and being like, hey, y'all, let's love. You
Making
know,
it
it's
work.
cool. Yeah, it was so cool.
Now I know when you talked before, you were like, I didn't see any of the Friday day shows. I was at work, so the first show I saw was For the Culture, which started at midnight Eastern, 11 that time. Did you get a chance to see any of that show after the fact, or?
So, because I am super passionate about wrestling, I wanted to watch every single show, but because I am super passionate about sharing the joy of wrestling with everybody, I wanted to make sure I still had a voice,
Yeah.
which you can't do any announcing, ring, interviews, or commentary if you have no voice. And B, I wanted to make sure I didn't like drain my brain.
Yeah.
So it's from all the years of like either working or managing the broadcast crew or whatever, or skating in and coaching in tournaments for roller derby. It's like you have to take a break. You
Yes.
cannot be at every single show. So I was trying to be responsible. I finished watching Sup and I was like, God, I really want to stay and watch these shows. Instead, I went to the hotel, or I went to dinner with Righteous Jesse and Hardway Heater, who wrestled on Sunday night in one of the death matches for Paradigm.
Okay.
Righteous Jesse, who's one of the voices of Sup, and
Yeah, he's
he's
their
also,
ring announcer.
yeah.
Yep.
He's a righteous dude.
Yes.
So the three of us went and had like a dinner because we were all like, no, we're gonna lose our shit if we stay here. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
you
swore.
time. No, it's fine. You can swear. Not too excessive, but it's fine.
Yeah,
But like
sorry.
time. But with it's time management. It's you can't give all of your time to this thing. You need
Right.
You need downtime.
Right. But I was like, oh, it's so important. I feel like, okay, so I'm hella biased, but I feel like every show out of the 12 were very important for people to see because it was great to see all these different promotions working together for the greater good as opposed to like vying against each other just to get
Yeah.
views or whatever. But to me, and in no particular order, in fact, I'm just going to order them in the way that they popped on the rosters. The three that were the most important: For the Culture, Big Gay Brunch, Shimmer.
Yeah.
Like, those were the three that represent the groups that are like typically the least represented, but
Yeah.
so needed in wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, people of color, the queer community, and women. Like, come on, you know? And it was so great. So I really wanted to go back to For the Culture, but instead what I did was I went to sleep early as soon as I got home from dinner.
Okay.
And then I woke up at 4:30 in the morning because I was like, oh, it's like queer Christmas. I'm so excited. I can't sleep.
Today's the
So
day.
yeah. So like I woke up 4:30 in the morning. I made myself an iced coffee because that's how I start my day. And then I bought the replay of For the
Okay.
Culture and I watched it. And it was so great because not only did I get to see some phenomenal wrestling, but I also got to do a little bit of homework as well and like see what the vibe of the venue was and, you know, listen to the commentators, which they did so great. It was such an awesome experience. And then we got to kick off the show on Saturday with Effy's Big Gay Brunch, and it was just insane. It's so hard saying which was my favorite. It's like Sophie's Choice or whatever, like you don't choose your favorite child.
Yeah.
Each show I worked was so important to me, like professionally speaking and also personally in
Yeah.
so many different ways. It was such an honor to get to, I mean, I've been going to Shimmer shows for I don't even know how long. Like me and one of my besties, Vince, like I always call him Vinnie Mac, but I don't want to say that because that's why I like paused on his name. I'm like, I'm just going to call him Vince. But Vinnie Mac is like, you know, not a nice thing to call somebody depending on who you talk to. But he and I always go to WWE pay-per-views, AEW, Shimmer. Like we do wrestling travel together. And unfortunately, due to the pandemic, he was unable to travel with me this weekend. So like getting to be on the ring announcing mic for Shimmer was insane. I still can't believe that I got to do that because Shimmer has always been so awesome. Like, I'm not knocking on the divas, not in the least. They worked with what they were given, and props to all of them, right?
Yeah.
but Shimmer has always been Shimmer women athletes, and just Dave Frazek like treats every single one of those women with like such respect and care, and like they're like one big giant family. So
Yeah.
to get to, ring announce for Shimmer was just like such an honor. And
Yeah.
I wore a purple dress, and try to be a lady.
I was gonna ask. My next question was gonna be about the dress, and then get into the show stuff. But the dress, the whole outfit was amazing.
Wait, which day? Because I was a snazzy lady, just so you know.
Well, both, but your Saturday dress,
hmm
the whitish, with the
So
shoes.
yeah, so for that, because I wanted to represent the bi flag, so I
Okay.
wore all the colors. Because I was thinking about what to wear. Like I actually had a couple different outfits picked out because duh. But I went with like less Columbia Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is what I initially was kind of feeling. And I was
Okay.
like, no, I want to be a classy lady at brunch. So I got these really ridiculous purple French tip manicured, but
Oh,
you couldn't even
nice.
tell because I had lace gloves on and a
Yes.
fan and purple shoes and a blue and pink flowers on a white dress. And yeah,
Yes.
I think it's really important to like have that representation, not just as a bisexual woman, but just like for whatever promotion I work with, because I promotions, I tend to wear whatever color or scheme like represents them. And
Yeah.
so for freelance, I wear a freelance t-shirt and some like red leopard pants that I've had for 20 years. And I wore giant donut earrings, which totally was perfect because Kylie Ray wore her sprinkles gear. I was so excited. And then, Timbits and Munchkins got involved in the main event between her and Josh Alexander, which is great. And then Sunday, I wanted to wear Shimmer often uses purple, but also purple is the color of Crohn's disease and
Okay.
Crohn's colitis. So as somebody with an invisible illness, I think it's very important to, show others that no matter what disability you might have, you could still live a full life and still be kick-ass. So it also worked that it happens to be Shimmer's color
Yeah.
often. And, the gold belt, it shimmered. So there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Shimmers. I mean, even for me as a fan, because I kind of stopped watching wrestling 01, 02. I didn't watch wrestling for almost a decade, and it was organizations like Shimmer and a couple others. Like I fell down a early days of YouTube hole, found Shimmer matches like cheerleader
Oh,
Melissa,
she's
and that whole crew. Mercedes Martinez, like she's from Connecticut. Like I've seen her wrestle up here.
trifecta. Hell
Yeah, the
yeah.
trifecta, like that
Oh,
stuff got,
so good.
yeah, that's for folks who don't know, it's Mercedes Martinez, Nicole Savoy, and Shayna Baszler were the trifecta.
Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, and
Trifecta.
it wasn't, again, we're not slamming the divas, but
No,
their style of wrestling is smash mouth in your face,
beat the
either
crap
knock
out of
you
you.
out or
Yeah.
submission, and that's
Or
what
both.
they did. Or both. You
Yeah.
get both.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, you can see, so like with all my free time, I'm like doing heavy spring cleaning and like switching up my house. And I mean, you could see I have the ninth wonder of the world right behind me. Like China is my absolute hero. So like to see women in real life that were just gonna
yeah,
destroy you. I mean, it was so awesome. But I also appreciate the divas for sure, and I was
yeah,
super stoked when the Bellas got their nod for the Hall of Fame, because I think that they're important. Hate me
yeah.
now, internet. I'm fine with that. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, I felt very, very lucky that I got to introduce Nicole Savoy, who I believe was one of, if not the longest reigning Shimmer champion,
I think so.
against against the current champ, Kimberly, who is
Awesome.
I just I love Kimberly so much. She's such a great wrestler. She's such a rad woman, and I'm just watching Kim like grow and continue to progress. And now she's on Impact, and
Yeah.
it's so cool to see how hard these women work. I mean, like Hyann, like she got called the, please don't be mad that I'm using the I word, the interim champion, because she had the hardest Shimmer championship, but she wasn't technically supposed to get it. Somebody had to drop the title and blah blah blah. So she was the interim champ, but she proved this weekend that she deserves that belt, and it was so awesome. It was such a good show.
Yeah, Kimberly. I mean, with Kimberly there, with Kylie Ray there, that Impact Women's division is just so stacked now. It's kind of harkens back to the glory days. And I talked to Alex Shelley about that, and he was big on that. He was like that when he had mentioned during the interview that there's someone, he didn't say their name, but there was a woman who was talking about coming back, and he advised, I was like, the level of competition is higher than it's ever been. So if you're going to make that decision, you're going to have to step up. He didn't say who it was. I can only guess who it might have been.
Right.
Could be almost anybody. But I did stay up to watch for the culture. It's for brown person, seeing a show full of brown people is amazing.
How cool is that?
Yeah, I even like told friends of mine who aren't wrestling fans, I'm like, this show just full of black people, black and brown people. Wrestling show top to bottom. And one of the things that stood out to me, I'm a big tag team wrestling fan. The tag match with Top Flight, who they are, I think they made themselves, because I heard the name and I had seen both of them wrestle separately.
Yeah.
But them as a tag team, seeing Culture Season make their debut, Christian Casanova make his Midwest debut, who we've known here in New England. How good we've known here in New England, how good he is for a minute.
Yeah.
So seeing him, a lot of the New England talent, and when I interviewed Shara Shockey last year for my last place I was at, and we talked about the talent out there in the Midwest, but also the talent here in New England. They're both kind of hotbeds right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And being able to see some of the New England and Northeast folks, like Christian Casanova and Tasha Steeles and Solo and Willow and the Sea Stars.
Yeah.
It's
Dude,
great.
Bird and the Bee and the Sea Stars are like two of the greatest tag teams. Like, so much fun, so talented in the ring, just enjoyable to watch. And between like the finesse and the fun that both those teams have in the ring, it just, I love my job.
And also the Sea Stars, their TikTok game is A+.
So. Okay, I'm like 75 years old, so I don't TikTok. The only reason why I even know what TikTok is because of my good friend Shazza McKenzie. So she's like got some TikTok game too. So
yeah, I've just seen it on Instagram. I'm too old for that. Like I just see like they post them on their Instagrams, so that's how I see them. But everything I've seen is amazing.
I love. I don't know if Delmy's still doing it, but for a minute there, Delmy was like doing shots of, I would assume, some sort of BCAAs or pre-workout.
Oh no! There was one this morning. Dry scoop.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, there was one this morning. No, either this morning or yesterday, wearing like a Selena shirt and going to like lift. Yeah, she was doing like a.
Let me do a dry scoop. Take
dry
a
scoop.
I'm like, how is that? Why is she so magical? Like, I don't get
I think so. I think that's where it comes from. It's the pre-workout and the lifting in the garage.
Delmy Expo is what we were jokingly calling her, and then she got another typo. I'm like, dude, it's Delmy Exo. Come on, she's just one of the boys.
Yeah, and they're like seeing them like grow here in New England, but then seeing them get bigger and be able to go places and see other people, like looking at social media and seeing people like seeing Christian Casanova for the first time, seeing the Sea Stars for the first time. It was just great to see people like so involved and happy. Like, I love being surprised. So when I see someone new, like for me, this was a big weekend because there are folks that I had never seen before, or I'd only
Lee
really.
Moriarty? Did Lee Moriarty blow your mind? Because hello.
Yeah, he's he's just ridiculously good. I'd only seen a part of his match, and then this weekend I could see full matches of his.
Yeah.
I was like, he's only going to get better. Like that's the thing. He's not. Seeing an Effy's Big Gay Brunch, which was I'm just a straight person, but I'm someone who's fond of. I have numerous friends yourself who are part of that world, and I want.
Well, you can be straight. You just can't be narrow. You shouldn't be narrow-minded. You know.
Not.
I know that sounds cheesy, but straight but not narrow that's okay too. Love who you love as long as.
On my Twitter, it says wrestling is for everybody, and I've had people ask me what do I think that means, and I was like, it means it's for everybody because I know at shows there are queer fans and fans who are in the margins who don't feel comfortable going to shows.
Right. Exactly.
And I think when you do stuff like Effy's Big Gay Brunch and for the collective, you show those people, yes, it is safe for you to go to shows. It is safe for you to enjoy wrestling, and we need to get to that place.
One of the matches that, it was so, I still can't believe I got to do Effy's Big Gay Brunch. I really don't. And Jay Rose and I kind of like rotated matches a little bit here and there. And like,
Yeah,
you know, you take two, I take two, you take one, I take one. And we were just kind of alternating. And I specifically requested Still Life with Apricots and Pears and
that
Dirt
was
Chic.
one of the best matches of the weekend. Top three match of the weekend, in my opinion.
Legit. And it's so crucial because, like, again, showcasing the queer community in wrestling and like to transgender women, like how amazing. And you know, I have a very good friend here in Chicago. She happened to be at Rise Pride and Joy in
Okay.
2019, and we did it the Sunday of Pride here in Chicago, the last Sunday of June. And you know, I just started chatting it up with her because, like, I don't know, I talk a lot. And I just always want everybody to have a good time. And I don't really know how we started talking, but we just started talking and we had a blast and she was great and we became friends. And I invited her to a freelance show and then she became a freelance season ticket holder and she's trans. And she straight up told me, like, didn't know if she felt safe going to indie wrestling shows because there is such a negative stigma towards anybody that isn't sorry dudes, like a white cishet dude. You know what I mean? Like
Oh no, I've been to many shows where I'm one of maybe 3 or 4 brown folks there.
yeah,
It's slowly changing. Beyond's like every time I've gone to a Beyond show, they draw a very diverse crowd. I don't know if it's by chance or by region, but every time I've gone to one of those shows, there's multiple types of folks there. But I've been to other shows up in Massachusetts, and various places up here in the Northeast where it's like, yeah, I'm one of 3 or 4 brown folks there, and there's like no brown people on the card.
yeah. And I've been to shows where I legit am the only woman in the building and I was just like, huh? And I'm Jewish too. So then I overhear people throwing some anti-Semitic talk and I'm like, yo, bro, no. Because
Not okay. Not
you
okay.
could talk mad smack about me and that's cool because I'm kind of a jerk. But my grandma was amazing until the day she died. No. Don't be hating on people just because they're different than you. They're not really different. They're all human beings. So, I mean, for me, it was so important. And I don't know if my friend has watched that match yet or not, but I definitely was like getting choked up because I know that she feels very comfortable at shows now, in part because of Rise, in part because of going to freelance shows.
Yeah.
And also just, you know, she was super proud of me that I got to work Effy's Big Gay Brunch. So the fact that I got to, I like specifically was like, I want to call this match.
And it was a
so fantastic.
great match, folks. Fight TV has all the replays.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth it. Yeah, one of the best matches I saw the weekend. Dark Sheik versus Still Life with Apricots and Pears.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing Still Life because they're a blank and Still Life. I don't know if they're not really double act, but they're mostly together. That whole thing is it's so not wrestling, but wrestling. Like there's people who see it and
Brilliant.
don't. Yeah, people who see it and don't get it, and I saw it and I got it right away. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is, and I always tease Paul. I was like, it's not. You don't watch Still Life, you experience.
Absolutely.
That's how it works.
Absolutely. And I mean, one of the things that I did that I think is really important, and I'm not saying this to get a pat on the back because I hope that everybody treats everybody with respect like this, but when I do ring announcing and I introduce myself, I will always ask about pronouns. And I feel like it's just a polite thing to do, especially, you know, especially with an event like Effy's Big Gay Brunch, you know? And so I felt really good that I was able to do that and make sure that everyone was called by who they are, who they are, you know? And so, yeah, it was great. It was great. It was just a great experience. And
The
also,
and kudos to I forget who was doing commentary. I think they tripped up on one of Still Life's pronouns and they came back after the fact and said, you know, we messed up. This is what Still Life prefers.
yes.
And the fact that they took the time, they took like just the 30 seconds to do that, I know means a lot to people out there who,
Oh, absolutely.
you know, I thought it was a class move. And that's kind of how it should be. If you trip up, but you're keeping it okay, this is that. Not hard to do. Not hard.
Yeah, no, just you know, and I said this last night when I was talking with some of my mates here in Chicago, and people are like, "Oh gosh, you're just trying to be so PC," and I'm like, I'm not trying to be politically correct. I'm trying to be polite and considerate. There's a
Try to
big
be
difference.
try to be a decent person. All right,
Yeah,
that's
I'm
pretty much
not
how it
trying to
is.
like win any up points. I'm just trying to be like, you know, a good human. Like since I'm not, you know, since I'm kind of a
It's
dork, but but yeah, I mean, I had somebody ask me about still life in particular because they often go by they.
yeah.
But I asked both them in the locker room. I said, pronouns, can I have them? And still life looked at me and said, let's go with she. And I said, all right, I got you. Yeah. So, and dark chic, also she. So it was kind of cool. And when I was interviewing, because I'm so used to backstage correspondent work, when I was chatting with Cassandro and Sunny Kiss,
Another
they
great
both said,
match. Another great match. Ugh.
I'm not even joking. After saying that Cassandra won and then Effy did the speech, I had to leave the venue because I was just so overwhelmed with like joy and love and pride, and like I couldn't talk to another human for a good 15, 20 minutes after that
You
show
needed a
ended.
minute. It is, yeah.
I was so verklempt. I was having a moment. I was
Yeah.
so thankful that I had my dorky little fan with me because I was doing this like a mile a minute.
Yeah, Effie is. I do watch Monday Not Raw, his stream show, which is become kind of like appointment TV for me on Mondays. And there's not a lot of appointment TV these days, but this is appointment laptop because it's on my laptop.
Right.
But he does 3 hours of independent wrestling. He engages with people. When I first got to like learn of Effie, I was like, okay, you know. And then when he came to Beyond with Danhausen, just the first time I saw him in person was Gatanic Panic
For
versus.
were they doing Gitana Panic? Yeah.
They were doing Gatanic Panic, and it was them versus Team Pazuzu, Chris Dickinson and Pinky Sanchez. So yeah, so it was.
That's a good match.
Yeah, oh, it was. I was there for that show. That was I think it was a Halloween show.
Nice.
Which was, so they both painted up and they were announced as being from Twitter. Effie and Danhausen. And yeah, seeing Effie in the ring with Chris Dickinson, it was a great interaction.
Dirty Daddy.
It was something to see. Uncharted territory, folks, track it down on IWTV. Great show. But then getting a chance to go meet him, like Effie is one. He's honestly, he's like Roadhouse. Like I thought you'd be bigger. I was like, I'm 6'3". He's almost my height. He's my height and he's wide.
He's strong, and he's a burly dude, like, you know. And
We'll fight you. Effie will fight you. I mean,
twice.
don't let like the pink leather jacket and the yellow brick road fool you. Effie will
No,
punch you in the mouth.
he's one of my favorite ring entrances to do because I can't even control myself. Like it's just so like, oh, this is Effie. Like it's just
Oh,
And then I often will take his jacket away from the ring.
okay.
Like 99% of the time he's been in Chicago, I've grabbed it away from the ring.
Okay, yeah, get it out of there.
That sucker weighs 25 pounds.
Oh,
I'm not joking.
Yeah, oh, that thing looks heavy. Like I've seen him like when he took it off, and I think he took it off and he kind of like the person he dropped it to a Beyond like probably wasn't expecting it to be as heavy because they like.
Yeah, it's like you're.
Oh, there we go.
It's like somebody dropped a pie out the window, you know. Yeah.
So the fairgrounds. So is this like one big building? Because I was kind of trying to get a sense of the venue there. Was there there's a big open area behind her? It's like the hallway. Kind of give me the layout of what this place is.
So I'm born and raised Chicago, and even though I do have family in Indiana and stuff like that, I don't know about state fairs very well because
Okay.
But apparently it's a state fairground, which I thought was pretty cool. It definitely had like those roller derby vibes, and you know what I'm talking about, Matt.
Lots of open space, folks.
Yeah, but it was like a big building with bleachers.
Okay.
Where attached to it is like a giant long barn where like livestock is kept, I guess.
Okay.
Somebody was like, yeah, this is where they parade the llamas. And I like started laughing because I'm an ignorant city kid, and please forgive me, anybody that grew up on or near a farm. I grew up across the street from Wrigley Field, which is like a farm in its own right.
It's a farm, all right. I've been there.
Yeah.
Been there, seen it.
But so evidently the room that was on Fight TV is where they bring the livestock for judging.
Okay.
So it was definitely a big open space, and then the back where all the talent was, and there was like a warm-up ring in the back and stuff like that as well. It was like a giant barn. So it was big open spaces, and all the doors were open the whole time to allow for fresh air, and giant garage doors, and there was food and drink vendors on site, and all the wrestlers sold merch outside, and the majority of everything that wasn't actually wrestling was all outside, 100% in the open air.
Okay.
You had to get your temp checked every time you walked into any show.
Mm-hmm.
Like even the first show that I went to, which was Friday, was SUP, because that's when I got to town. I was like, hey, where does talent check in? Do we need to get any credentials? And they were like, oh, we got to check your temperature. So like, even though I was working the whole weekend, they were like, temp check. So I thought that was pretty cool. It made me definitely feel a little bit more at ease about things. Everybody was wearing masks. Like, they were really good about social distancing. There was hand sanitizer everywhere. The Freelance Academy and the AIW students were chef's kiss amazing. They were the people that you see in between every single match, sanitizing the ring, sanitizing the ring ropes, the turnbuckles, the mat, everything. And so, yeah, I mean, it was pretty great. We were told in our public address announcements to constantly don't move any chairs. They're there for your safety. Everything's all measured out. Like, I know some people said, oh, Bloodsport looked crowded, and oh, Spring Break looked crowded. And those might have been the shows that had the most people at them.
Yeah.
But there was in no way ever overcrowding. There was still like rows available in between people. Like, the venue set it up that way. Like the people that were working the shows, they set it up specifically for that, to make sure that we could adhere to social distancing. So
it was. I mean, I watched Spring Break, and I did watch most of Bloodsport. I think I kind of fell asleep toward the end there, and it was not because the match was bad. It was just because it's Sunday night. I was like, I get up early.
Did you fall asleep when Davey Boy like power bombed Josh Alexander? I felt that. I was like,
I had to be in work at 6 the next morning, so it was just a matter of. And also for Bloodsport, again, some surprises. I had never seen nor heard of Lindsay Snow.
Oh, she's
and I became a fan, and like seeing like getting around with like Allison Kay, I'm like these established, and then seeing someone, I guess she's out of Florida.
Yeah, she's out of Florida.
I mean, she just came in. I was impressed right away. I was like, wow, she just killed it.
She's mean in that ring, dude. You don't want to mess with Lindsay Snow, that's for damn sure.
So it was like the from what I saw watching at home, Spring Break was quote unquote crowded, but you could definitely see people spaced out. There were a lot of people there, and the building was probably like at capacity for how they set it up.
I mean, honestly, and I was just looking from this much of the curtain, but I walked to one side because there were so many people in the clusterfuck. I had to swear because that's the name of the match.
That's the name of the match. That's
always the cluster.
No, it's clusterfuck. I'm not beeping it. It's the clusterfuck.
Okay,
that's what it is.
Okay, cool. The clusterfuck. But so I don't like to be anywhere near gorilla position unless it's a show that I'm on or I'm working. Like, there's no reason for me to be anywhere. But I also didn't want to take up a seat of somebody that paid for a ticket. So I made sure to like stay out of the way in the back. Like, me and one of the officials, Perk, we were just like staring through the curtain like this much. But it was like the most crowded shows. But that's because, everybody that bought a ticket for Collective was at those two shows. Like, for the other shows, people were like either leaving early or arriving late, or I want to see For the Culture, so I'm not going to be able to go to this show, or whatever. Like, I was at For the Culture, so I got here halfway through Effy's. Like, no harm, no foul. You know what I mean? Like, we get it. but it wasn't even remotely close to capacity because,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I want to say the capacity was 2,000, and
Okay.
I think the max out that they did, if I'm not mistaken, was 500 tickets.
Okay.
So it was, and I mean, it was never, I never felt unsafe or that it was overcrowded. Like I, I went to food inside for the first time since March when I went out to dinner on Friday night. Like I am very cautious. Like I only eat outside. I don't go to bars. Like I don't, even though I'm like a creature of nightlife and like I have a
Yeah.
night owl tattoo on my leg, like I never felt unsafe at the venue at all. And you know, Spider, uh, he made sure to like make sure everybody was safe, and like he was Webb,
And yeah,
Webb, yeah,
Spider Nate Webb,
yeah,
host of Nate Webb's Dirtbag Kitchen on
yeah.
IWTV.
Well, that dirtbag was basically in an outdoor kitchen. I was leaving the venue to go get supplies for the guys that were working gorilla that like never left their spots all weekend. So Spider was grilling and
Oh,
cooking at the
nice.
yeah with the bar that was cooking all weekend. Lock Miller's, I believe it was Lock Miller's Pub.
Yeah,
Uh,
Nate, also winner of the clusterfuck.
yeah, yeah. Like this dude does it all, and he legit was like kind of you know, because he's born and raised indie, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. So he definitely took it like, how can I make this safe? How can I bring wrestling back to people that need it, whether it be the people that need it for a payday or need it for just a sanity break or an escape, you
yeah,
know? He was trying to do whatever he could. So like he definitely kind of patrolled the crowd. I saw him multiple times, like reminding people that this is not where
yeah.
your mask goes. It
Over
goes like
over your
this.
nose, folks.
Right. And I said it every like 2 or 3 matches, I would say it again on the mic. But I physically saw him, yes, thank you. I physically saw him doing that, you know, to make sure that people were being as safe as they could.
Yeah.
And now don't get me wrong, I know I've seen some pictures online, but there's very few, and a lot of the times I was like, no, I remember seeing that person with their mask up because I liked their mask. Like, so they might have caught them when they were drinking or eating something, but people were really good about keeping the masks up. So I'm really proud of the fans in attendance for that. So
Awesome. Speaking of Nate Webb and the clusterfuck, I've decided to put out a standing bounty on 440H, $200 to $300 to the charity of your choosing. If anyone takes them out to the point where they can't finish a match, and I'm putting it on video, standing bounty on 440H, any of them, don't care who.
it doesn't have to be all of them. It just has to be.
If you can get all of them in one shot, like if you can take out like RSP
Oh,
and
good luck on that
Atticus,
one, dudes.
um, if you just take out Greg Iron, it's going to be like 150.
No, that's not fair. He's a badass. I was thinking like he's worked a lot of freelance shows, so I feel like I could maybe just like chat him up and just be like, "Hey man, let's catch up. How's things? Oh, did you have a great time at the collective?" And then like
Hey,
no.
I will. You get a picture of it confirming. I am sending money your way.
But check it out, dude. I feel like Irons would still be like, "Yeah, fuck off." Oh, excuse me. Would be
It's
like,
okay. It's okay.
"Headlock takeover." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, standing bounty, couple hundred, charity you're choosing. Anyone takes out 440H.
okay, all right. I like this. I like this. I
Because
mean,
I'm tired. I'm tired of it. I'm
that means they're
tired of
doing their job. If they're
it's.
pissing you off, they're doing it
Yeah,
right.
I'm putting money on the table. Of course, I'm pissed off. Money's on the table, folks. Come get it. We can help the kids, and you can take
Yeah.
out our RSP's the big one. Yeah, he's doing his job very well.
Yes. I can see that though. He likes to
He's a
ruffle
wind-up artist.
feathers.
I can appreciate it. I was
Yeah.
at the Beyond show that he showed up with the GC when he first got the GCW title.
Mm-hmm.
He walked out and just the place. It was like that silent. It was like it wasn't even like the loud booing. It was like the menacing, like we don't like you at all.
Like it was so like hailstorm of hate.
Kind of, yeah. It was
So
more.
was it loud or was it just like we are paying you zero respect? We're not even going to acknowledge your existence.
It was kind of in the middle. There were people that were booing him. There were people that were reacting, but it wasn't an outright boo. I think it was just more like people were just like, eh. Bleh.
Mm. Um, I like working with the guy, but I'm glad that I don't have to deal with him in that way.
And then one of the other shows that I enjoyed, I watched Black Label Pros, Threat Level Noon. That was
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah, I brought my Warhorse and Shazza McKenzie on a pin that I want
okay.
to say Pollyanna released. That was supposed to be for when we were supposed to be at Ybor City in Tampa, um, and it was Threat Level Midnight.
Yeah,
They were supposed to be the freelance spot. They were supposed to
yeah,
be the late night show. So I like wore that, and I had my Shazza shirt, so that way she was still there somehow, you know.
yeah.
But yeah, it
That
Threat Level Noon.
that's that's before we get into it, that's Shaza versus Warhorse's social media rivalry of the decade.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so they need to be fighting again soon when the U.S. isn't being dumb and we can get folks back in.
Oh, can that be soon,
Uh,
please?
but uh, Killer Kelly versus Killer Billy uh,
Mm-hmm.
was was great with Billy coming out and just I believe I don't know whose vest that was. Some people said it was Warhorse, and some people said it was somebody else's. Might have been one of Nate's. Who knows? But again, seeing Billy get in the ring with Killer Kelly, who's just an amazing wrestler. She's so very good at what she does.
Yeah, and what a pull that was, I feel like, because that was supposed to be Killer Kelly and Killer Kylie,
Yeah,
but Kylie Ray and Josh Alexander, the walking weapon, they had such an intense, long match the night before. They didn't get done until like 3 in the morning. Josh broke
yeah,
his nose. Like,
yeah.
I, I, I don't know what the situation with Kylie is. I do know that I didn't get home until almost 4 a.m. to my
Jeez.
hotel, and I didn't have to wrestle Josh Alexander.
I
So,
know.
in my opinion, I think as much as as like a fan and as a worker, as much as I wanted to see that like as a fan, but as a worker, so I could learn and study those two women and like
Yeah.
figure out how would I call that on commentary kind of thing. Because that's what I do when I watch matches now. I just do like homework and take notes because I'm a dweeb. But I was kind of proud of Kylie because not a lot of people would pull out if they, like I hope she's okay. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think she's okay. She's posting stuff and she seems to be happy. So, but it was what a good get. Billy Starks like versus Killer Kelly. Like what? Like
I'm sure Billy
what?
was. I'm sure Billy, with again being a kid and the enthusiasm, was like all about it. She's like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, like I could die today. That's cool. And then what's crazy is like so one of the things that I felt like kind of proud about was that I opened the show and then I closed the show on Saturday, and I still feel like I was able to do my job and represent both promotions, or technically the two at night and Effy's shindig in the morning. Same thing with Billy. She opened on Threat Level Nude, and then she like wrestled Paradigm Pros show
Yeah.
like to close out the weekend. Like what? Ugh, so good.
Yep. Like we said, folks. She's got a future in this crazy world.
That kid's got a future.
So now, as we move into this new post-COVID new normal, I have been to Ash show. I went to Beyond's July show out in Atlantic City. They did
Mm,
outside on the boardwalk, which was
yeah.
really well
Oh,
done.
that sounds cool. Like
It
I
was
want
it
to
was a
go to
cool
one of
show.
those.
I kind of drove down last minute because I'm in Connecticut, so it's like a 3.5 to 4 hour drive for me. Um, my friend Tiff flew up from Arkansas, and we met each other at the show. My unofficial official co-host for my other endeavors here. And it was outside. They took temperatures. They distanced everybody. Beyond's done a really good job of this. They have another show coming up on the 8th. That's going to be in the Grand Ballroom. Again, going to be spaced out. Felt very safe with them. But it's how are things outside of what we saw for the culture in the Warrior Wrestling? Are more and more things like I know Slamilton's coming up.
Hmm.
Is Freelance going to be getting back up and running? What's the situation where you're at?
Um, so for me, I'm actually working a show tomorrow night
Yep.
for Zello Pro. You know, I followed the CDC guidelines and I waited until today to get tested. I got the rapid test. The clinic that I go to, I test before and after every time I work a show, or if I'm around any more than 2 people at a time, I go get tested, because why not? There's nothing wrong with getting tested. I know it kind of stinks to get the swab up your nose, but way better than like a tube up your nose and down your throat to breathe.
Yeah.
Just saying. Been on a ventilator, not a good time. But so I'm working for Zello Pro tomorrow night. I'll be doing commentary. We're running out of Turner Hall in Milwaukee.
Okay.
A little bit of the card has shifted due to some of the talent wanting to just take time off because of COVID and because of a few wrestlers testing positive. So I'm not sure what kind of a card I'm walking into tomorrow night. I do know it's going to be good. If it remains, I'm really excited for the women's title match, because it's going to be Alex Gracia versus Lainey Luck for the Zello Pro Women's Champion. So just that right there, boom, I would buy a ticket just to watch that. If I wasn't like talking into a microphone, I'd be buying a ticket just for that match alone. So I know that 2 of the Freelance Academy students that worked all weekend, one of them being Jacob Dean, he's like one of the proteges of Isaiah Velasquez, who's a head trainer at Freelance Wrestling Academy, is taking on I'm sorry, the nut shot heard around the world, Trevor Outlaw. He was the unfortunate lad who during Robert Ego Anthony and then Frank happened to be there entrance during the cluster. Do you recall seeing
he was that guy.
Yeah, so that's why I laughed. I mean, I'm sorry, Trevor, I adore you. Yeah, we were joking that like if he was in Retribution, his name would definitely be Nutshot.
Yeah, that was. I remember watching when they came out, and then I saw like the thing, but then I on the corner I was like, wait, I was like, that guy just he just shot himself in the nuts.
Yeah, but he was so funny. He's like, you can't say anything because you're a Cubs fan. I go, no, I mean, like, I'm a Cubs fan, but I'm not a Sox hater. Like, I'm a Cubs fan, but I'm a fan of the White Sox. Also, I don't want my friend to shoot his junk off, especially if it's to help Frank the Clown in any way. I mean, come on. But
I don't despise him enough to have a bounty on him yet, just for OH, if anyone's asking. I'm not there yet with Frank the Clown. He's getting there, though.
Oh, we can work on that. I'll chip in. But so I was speaking with Trevor today, and he also tested negative, and we both waited until today to allow proper incubation time, I believe.
Yes, I believe it's like 5 to 7 days.
Yeah, and so we both tested negative, so we'll be on the show tomorrow. But I was like, "Are you going to be able to even get over the ring ropes?" Like, he's like, "Yeah, I definitely have some bruising in some interesting places."
Oh man, well good luck to him.
So I mean, that's gonna be a good match too, because they're both like 2 of the top students in Freelance Wrestling Academy, and don't pass up these young bloods like Billy Starks. Like, they are the future of wrestling. So like, take your notes now, veterans, because they're gonna be the ones taking your job.
Yeah, one of the I guess was learning to watching Freelance and learning new names and new people who I enjoy. I won't say I enjoy them, but someone who's definitely caught my attention in the ring is one GPA.
I love that you're like, I won't say I enjoy him. You're talking about GPA. No, see, again, he's so good at what he does. It just pisses everybody off. And to me, if they hate you, that means they love you. So just keep it up, bro. Although I'm not gonna lie, he pisses me off too, because he used to be so nice, and then him and Kylie had like this most perfect tag team. They were awkward teen hunger force. Yeah. And they were just like the biggest dweebs on the block, and which I can clearly relate to. And they were just so awesome. And then he just got sick of her always stealing all the thunder, because hello, Kylie Ray, she's really good.
Yeah, she is.
And
he's good too, but
he's a very good wrestler.
Yeah, he is.
But Kylie, Yeah. So I'm really stoked for Zello Pro tomorrow. And then as far as moving forward, I don't know. It's a guessing game as much as it is for you. I'm sure about what shows you'll be going to.
Yeah,
There's
it's
there's a couple of promotions that I'm hopefully looking to work with in Texas.
okay.
Because as long as the state is not on the list of like danger zone, then I'm not opposed to working. I will only drive places, which is either good or bad for promoters, depending. I don't feel comfortable flying, even though everyone I
Yeah.
know that's flown said, Val, it's really safe and they're pumping in air. I personally would rather take my little white roller skate. I have a Kia Soul. It's like a little white car, and I'm like, it's a roller skate. But I'd rather take my girl Trudy on a road trip and drive down to Texas or wherever the remaining 24 states we're allowed to go to is.
Well, Connecticut is so with there's promotions here in the state that really one of them is Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, which is Paul Roma's school. That's a
Cool.
school that Richard Holiday came out of.
Nice.
They've started doing some shows, limited capacity, in Southern Connecticut. Uh, Besides Beyond, the other like big dog promotion up here, which is Northeast Wrestling, they haven't done anything I think since before the pandemic. I think they're trying to do an outside show before the weather turns. But
Right. That's the
Connecticut,
hard part. That's
yeah,
what we're up
Connecticut's been
against.
good in their response, but they've also been very stringent with gatherings. They've just kind of upped outside gatherings to 100.
Mm.
And some other, but the leadership here has been really good about it. Places like I've been to a bar in New Haven I go to, but they don't like the bar's not open. They have seating at different ends. They're really good on
Yeah.
capacity. So it's nice to live in a state that's handling it, in my opinion, like it should be handled. So I don't get to see as much wrestling as I want to, but I'm probably going to go to this Atlantic City show. Again, it's 3-4 hour drive for me, and I can stay pretty much anywhere down there. Um, I did find good tacos down there. There's a place called
Nice.
Mr. Taco in Atlantic City. They do
Have
great.
have tacos will travel. I'm
Yeah,
so into that.
they have great tacos pastor, which is like a
uh,
spiced pork.
I can't say
Um,
I can eat that anymore, but
oh, it's really good.
I primarily rock a plant-based diet. I'm not
Okay.
vegan, although I fully support anybody that is. But just because of the Crohn's, it's
Yeah,
much better for everybody, including myself, if I just eat really clean and a lot of veggies. So
veggies load up. Dan Champion, veggie based, and that
badass.
dude's yeah, he is
Kimberly, she's
exactly. Yep,
yeah,
full on vegan. And there's a
yeah.
number, she's. We had a conversation. So I accidentally didn't have any meat for like a week, and I had mentioned it on a comment, and she was like, "Think about expanding out to like a month," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'll think about it," and then I didn't.
I personally I stopped eating meat. uh, the last time I've had like a non Beyond or Impossible or anything like that cheeseburger was 2013.
Okay.
So it's been a while. I do have fish on occasion, but it's just personal for me. But I think the bonus of helping the planet in the meanwhile is pretty cool. And I did live off of Impossible Whoppers this past weekend. Impossible Whoppers and iced coffee. That's basically going to
Impossible
be my
Impossible
memoir.
Whoppers are tasty. I tried one fairly recently. I enjoyed it. It's not going to be an all the time thing, but it's something to grab.
Yeah, same. I don't typically eat fast food because that's no bueno either. But when it's like 4 in the morning and you gotta eat something, I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I realized that I had only ingested iced coffee from
Just caffeine. Just
from like after Effy's big gay brunch until like freelance. No, past freelance until after Shimmer, I think. There was
okay.
one point where I looked at because of being a crony, I do intermittent fasting. It really, really helps me out
Okay.
to keep my guts in check. And so I have like an app on my phone that reminds me when to eat and
All
reminds me
right.
to like drink water and stuff like that. So I looked at my app and it was like 26 and a half hours since I had eaten something last. I was like, whoa.
For when I eat something.
Yeah. Other than iced coffee, yes.
And I know you being from Chicago, I know because with your diet and stuff, I love the city, but our differences on pizza will always exist. We've talked about it.
Here's the deal, my friend. Everybody seems to think that deep dish pizza is Chicago style pizza, when I'm here to tell you, as a lifelong Chicagoan, that is inaccurate and incorrect.
Okay.
Chicago style pizza is considered tavern cut, which is not the big slices that look like triangles. It's
Okay.
small squares, and then you get the little baby triangles too. That's Chicago style pizza. Like if you came to town and you wanted to get a pie, first off, I'd probably take you to Pequod's or Chicago Pizza and Oven Grinder Company, which is like a pot pie of pizza. It's so surreal, but they're very specific. Like Pequod's has like burnt edges, caramelized crust that's hella good.
Okay.
I mean, I eat vegan pizza now,
Yeah.
so but I used to, and I would take you for like just regular pizza, unless you wanted deep dish. Then
No.
oh girl, I got you. Like I used to eat. I
Yeah.
don't
Here.
know if I'm like proud of it. I guess I am, but
Yeah.
I never felt more Chicago than the day I walked into a joint. I was like, yeah, I'll take a slice of spinach deep. And I was like, you know what? No, I don't need a to-go box. You could just give it to me on the wax. And they'd like look at me like I was crazy. And then I proceeded to walk down the street
With this big
eating
hunk of spinach pizza.
spinach pie, just like an apple. Yeah. And I caught my glimpse, my reflection in the storefront window, and I was like, oh, this is why I'm single.
Well,
Because I'm too awesome.
yeah, out here, but yeah, not everyone can handle someone just walking down the street with a spinach pie like on wax paper.
I am a classy lady. That's
Yeah,
all
you stopped and you were like, you know what? Classy.
classy broad right here.
Here. Yeah, out here it's, we've got the famous ones like Sally's and Pepe's. I'm allergic to seafood, so I can't do the clam pizza.
Oh, that sounds delicious. So I'm sorry to hear that you're allergic.
Yeah, but Modern Pizza, which is in New Haven, they have what's called the Italian Bomb, which is just every sort of Italian meat, bacon, sausage.
So my first job, like a good Chicagoan, was at a pizza joint, and
Okay.
my favorite thing to make was pizza because
Nice.
which doesn't bode well for the vegetarian vegan lifestyle. But for my friends that are like omnivores, they loved it because every kind of meat possible on a pizza.
Nice. Oh, I actually have a great Chicago story for you, and I've always meant to tell you, but now that we're talking, I can tell you.
Okay.
So years ago when I got out of the military, I decided to take the train home cross country. So I was in California, and I was going to take the train cross country to Connecticut. I
Hell
just
yeah.
wanted to do that. So I'm on the train and talking with people. You start hanging out with people you're traveling with. The train got stuck behind a broken down train a couple miles up.
Oh no.
So we ended up getting to Chicago super late to Mystic Connector, so that we stayed overnight. Like the Amtrak gave on and gave us vouchers to stay somewhere.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
me and like three other people were all kind of traveling different places. We just had to hang out. We jumped in a cab when we got to Chicago. The guy actually took us up to Wrigleyville to some random pizza joint at like 11:30 at night.
D'Agostino's?
I don't know. It had a big counter. Like we walked in and there was a counter that kind of had a weird shape. I wasn't exactly sober, so pardon my recollection.
That's
It had a
fair.
counter, and we got like that small cut type.
That's Chicago style pizza.
Yeah,
Like people
that's
don't
what.
realize deep dish is delightful, but like legitimately you can have like one, maybe two pieces unless you just want to hate yourself for a week and you can have a whole pie. But like Chicago style pizza is just, it's really about the seasonings and the crust. It should be like not a Ritz cracker, but it should be like,
Yeah.
you know.
It was good for like midnight pizza, and I think I had some like garlic bread, or I had something else. So we
That
did
sounds
that.
like heaven.
Had went back to the hotel. We were staying at some hotels right near the river. It was a nice-ish businessy hotel. Um Again, not sober. Slept, woke up. The train wasn't leaving till 2 or 3, so we put our stuff there. They put our stuff on. Ended up at Portillo's.
Yeah. Did you get a cake shake?
I inadvertently, because I didn't know what it was, I did get a big ass burger because like I
Oh
love
yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And someone asked, was like, I was looking at, because I love desserts. I have a sweet tooth. I love sweet stuff.
Hell yeah.
So they were like, "Do you want?" I was like, "Can I get a shake?" And the server was like, "You want a cake shake?" And I'm like, "What? What's
You're like,
what's that?"
it's heaven in a glass with a
Yeah.
straw.
And she's like, "Oh, just go over there. Say you're getting cake shake." And I'm like, "All right." So I go up and person, big slab of chocolate cake gets dropped in a blender. And when it was picked up, I was like, wait a minute. And I right there when when they picked up the piece of cake and I saw the blender, I was like, oh, it's going
That's a
down.
cake shake. Yeah,
Going
definitely.
down. They handed it to me. It was heavy. It was heft. It had a heft to it.
I'll tell you what, like Chicago in the winter is rough. So you got to stay warm somehow. So, everybody's talking about that quarantine 15. It's called winter here in Chicago. And like sometimes you just can't put enough layers on, so you got to get a cake shake. Like I go to the Chicago Diner, which is meat free since '83. Like
Okay, that's
I
interesting.
grew
That's
up.
cool.
Yeah, it's so good too. And even my friends that are not vegan or veg, like enjoy it. Their not
Yeah.
wings are next level ungodly goodness. Um, like I said, I used to manage music festivals when it wasn't a pandemic. And so I've worked Pitchfork Music Festival since it was Intonation Fest. And Chicago Diner always has a stand there. I firmly believe I'm only still alive because of their not wings, because
Okay.
I've eaten so many of them. But they have killer vegan shakes. And so that's usually like before I go work Warrior Wrestling, me and my camera person, Catherine, who's like, oh, she's such a godsend. Like, if there is a God, it's because they created her. Like, she's so amazing. And she's my right hand woman at Warrior, totally. And so we usually stop at Chicago Diner on the way there. And I feel like that's like a good luck kind of thing, is like
Yep.
get those vegan shakes, Yeah, really good.
Uh, game update, folks. Astros won. Uh,
Ugh,
so I here's the thing. I'm a Mets fan. You're a Cubs fan. We have no quarrel. We're both teams
no.
in National League. Both your guys won
Yeah,
a championship.
but listen. Let me talk to you for just 1 second
Okay.
about how much I hate the Houston a-holes. And I love the city of Houston, and I have so many roller derby friends there that are like family to me. So to
Yeah.
see the joy, like two of my best friends in Chicago, they're from Houston, they're Astros fans. Like they have a Cubs license plate on the front and an Astro license plate on the back. It's their
Okay.
NL, it's their AL. Like I was so happy for them when they won the World Series. And then
And then
and I already had a hard time like cheering on the Astros anyway, because if you recall, they were in the NL for the majority of my lifetime.
yeah,
And the Killer Bees terrorized the Chicago Cubs and
yeah,
ruined my life in the bleachers. So when they went to the AL, I was like, good riddance. We'll never have to see them again. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I was so thankful. But when they uh, faced the White Sox in the World Series in 2005, when they were still in the NL, everybody's like, oh, are you excited if the White Sox are going to lose? I go, first off, not this team. This team is like lightning in a bottle. Second off, the first part of the White Sox name is Chicago. So I was cheering for them to beat the Houston A-holes. And so I really don't want the A-holes to go back to the World Series. They don't deserve it. I don't even want to watch baseball this season. This is the first year in my entire life I haven't watched baseball because I'm a little heartbroken that my entire world quite literally got shut down at once.
yeah.
But
That's and my view on it is a little different simply because I'm a lifelong Mets fan. My granddad, it's weird. Our families were like my dad's a Yankees fan. My cousin Eric, who we are the same age, we're 2 months apart. He is a Yankees fan. I'm a Mets fan. My cousins are Mets fans. My granddad's a Mets fan. So our team has had various issues throughout the years.
not in '69. You did just fine.
Did just fine. Yeah, that's and '86 was great too.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of get the good stories where you get them.
Cubs
When
fan.
yeah,
I
when
know.
yeah, when the Cubbies were in it, I knew when Theo Epstein left to go to Chicago, I was like, they're gonna have a championship within 5-6 years. Give them that, they'll sort it out. And the folks outside that bubble were cheering for the Cubs anyway. I was really hoping they would win. Um,
It was definitely the happiest day of my life, was
I mean I
being
can
in
imagine.
Cleveland for Game 7. And like I've been interviewed quite a bit because of roller derby
Yeah.
by like various publications, and they're like, what's your favorite, part of sports? Like, what's your favorite sports memory? And I'm like, well, singing the seventh inning stretch at Wrigley Field was probably my favorite day in my entire life. But I guarantee when I'm sitting there for Game 7 and the Cubs win the World Series, that's going to be the best day ever. I had no idea that was
Yeah,
even
it was gonna
remotely going to
happen.
be a thing. No, But I ended up, because as you said, with Theo Epstein, I was like, well, eventually they're going to be pretty decent. So me and one of my girlfriends decided to split season tickets. And the Cubs were so bad in 2014. Like, imagine a world where the team goes from being like the worst, over 100 losses in one season.
Yeah.
Like, Anthony Rizzo is maybe the only player in MLB history that had this happen to him. Like, this super surreal stat, which of course Dork in me loves. Like, over 100 losses to 100 wins in 2015 to World Series win in 2016.
Yeah.
Like, what? And if you're not a fan of baseball, we apologize.
I don't.
Not a fan of baseball. That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry that you're not into baseball, because baseball is best.
I do love outside of the Mets, Anthony Rizzo is one of my favorite players. So.
Oh, dude, and he's such a stand-up guy. Like, he's really a good dude. Like, really a good dude.
Good.
I was just gonna say, he's like really focused on working with charities and youth, and he battled cancer as a child, and he donates so much money and so much time and just his presence to so many various cancer charities here in Chicago. I mean, he's just an amazing, amazing guy. And one day I overslept my alarm because I set it for PM instead of AM. And it was the first time in over a decade that I was late for working at Wrigley Field. And I got there like 5 minutes before gates open. We're supposed to be there an hour before gates open.
Oh.
And I run in and I'm like, dudes, I'm so sorry. I totally hit the PM instead of AM. And boom, I smack dab run right into Tony Rizzo dance party. And I was like, because we're not supposed to talk to the players. So I was like, do I apologize? Do I not? Am I risking my job? And he's wearing like a Hawaiian shirt that is tiki Bloody Marys, like the entire shirt. And he was like, it's okay. We've all been there. And I was just like, I love you so much. Yeah.
I would, here's my thing with the Astros. I'm a sucker for a good story and a good villain. No story is great without a great
RSP.
Exactly. Having a great villain makes a story take it from great to phenomenal. If they get into the World Series and they go up against the Braves are like this new baseball. Have fun. Score a lot of runs. Ronald Acuna Jr. is a phenomenal talent. Give me all the bat flips, all the bat flips you can give me.
I'm all for that. I just really don't want to ever see the tomahawk chop on a large scale again. I think it's rude. I think it's gross. It really soured, which sucks because that team is so great. Like, you're not wrong, but I'm just like, I don't want to see the tomahawk chop. I just think it's so rude.
Atlanta and the Mets are getting there are this young flash team, and a lot of people tell them playing the game the right way, which I'm about that. I have this thing about the unwritten rules, whatever.
Agreed.
So if you take this young flash team, if Atlanta can sort themselves out, and that game just started, they're in the bottom of the third, Atlanta's up 2-0. Okay. And you put them in against, the bad Houston Astros. Well, here's the thing. Dusty Baker, who we all love, was brought in to kind of like.
Do we?
I have no issues with. He's never managed my team.
In Dusty, I no longer trusty.
He was brought in to soften the blow and clean that mess up, and kind of he was the Novocaine for the wound. That's what Dusty was here, and I think he understands that.
Made it a gaping wound.
Okay.
I gotta take my sweatshirt off for this conversation. We're talking baseball.
So I can't. I think of. This. There's this horrible Schwarzenegger. Well, not horrible. It's with Schwarzenegger called Last Action Hero.
That's not horrible. It's a great movie.
Yeah. So
says the girl that has a Bruce Willis Die Hard custom made painting right there.
Love it. So Charles Dance, who plays Benedict, has a great line in toward the end, and he's like, "In this world, the bad guys can win."
Yes.
So I think it's. I understand the thing with the cheating, and I'm one of those folks. I know folks who've played college ball and minor ball, and stealing signs happens. They just got caught.
Yeah, I mean, but it's excessive, and it's all the way to the World Series. It's just gross.
Yeah, no, it is. It leaves a bad taste. So I don't quote unquote hate the Astros. I think it's a good story if they get into the World Series. But Tampa Bay, again, like Atlanta, young flash team, scores a lot of runs, have a lot of fun. Um, if now Astros and Rays, that series is tied 3-3 right now. Game 7's tomorrow,
Yeah.
which I'm not going to be around for because I told my girlfriend we'd have a weekend away, so I'm going to be
Oh, that's
disconnected
nice.
for about 24 to 36 hours. But if Houston can win this and get into the World Series, it's going to lead to so much weird sports punditry and hot takes. I
I
just
mean, the only reason I would remotely be okay with it is because this season will forever have an asterisk on it. There's no way that you could claim that they are the best team in the world or even close to being one of the two top teams in the world with
after
61 games. Like, oh, I got something in my eye. Apparently.
what if they got in and just what if they got in and like Atlanta or LA just smashed them like 4 games, tons of and just buried them under an avalanche.
Which would be cool. I'm all for that. But I also don't want to see my friends that are amazing and I love so dearly that were so excited when they won the World Series and then were so heartbroken when they completely cheated and didn't
Yeah.
get any punishment virtually. I mean, I don't want to see my friends that are like embarrassed to be Astros fans because like they were basically juicing the entire time. You know what I mean? I mean, they weren't
Yeah.
juicing. I shouldn't say that. That's inappropriate. I apologize. But I mean, it's one thing if you can like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
really
I
hate
understand.
cheating. I really hate
No,
cheating.
I understand. It's just like I said to me, outside looking in, it's just I think it's a better story,
Sure,
but
but that's because you love wrestling, so you love athletic
yeah,
theater.
like
You want the drama and the theater of it all.
it's theater. So if you put the Astros in, and I prefer to see them face Atlanta because the Dodgers, for all they have issues. Kershaw, there's just been this debate about Clayton Kershaw.
I love Clayton Kershaw. Like
Here's
I
the
do.
thing, though.
He's watching him pitch.
Yeah,
I can't believe that I'm so lucky that I have seen him pitch so many times.
yeah.
I've lost track because of
He's
how often I've gone to Dodgers. I have a lot of family on the West Coast,
okay.
so I go to Dodgers games like all the time. And I also go to Disneyland when I'm out there, but like and the Dodgers also train in the Cactus League for spring training, so I
Okay.
see him and his family around town all the time. He's a very nice guy and he is a next worldly pitcher. Like he's insane.
Yeah, but let's be real about it here when we're talking stats. 2.6 ERA, I want to
Mm-hmm.
say regular season.
Yeah.
Postseason, it's like 5 something.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's not that great in the postseason.
I mean, what I don't want is, let's say the Dodgers make it in there, he comes to pitch up game 1 or game 2 and gets shelled.
I feel like he would probably be on game 2. No, they'd probably start him, to be honest with you.
It's just I feel like with Atlanta in, because the way Atlanta plays that small ball that I like, where it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like runs, manufacture runs, and that's what Atlanta's always done. You go back to the
Grind it out.
'90s and those Otis Nixon, David Justice teams. Yeah, they were power
Yeah, hell yeah.
hitters, but everyone else was hitting for contact. Ron Gant's out there going 3 for 4 every damn game, and
Absolutely.
with 8 RBIs.
So for me, I guess if I had to have a dog in a race, obviously I want NL all the way because
Yeah.
first off, can we just talk about the abomination that is a designated hitter sweeping all
Blah,
of MLB?
blah. No, it's a sin. It's a sin. It's a sin. Right? Okay.
I would rather high five Frank the Clown than ever watch that shit. Excuse me.
No, it's okay. The official position of the Turnbuckle Bandwagon is that the DH is a sin.
It's just messed up. It's like begging for cheating and like juicing and steroids.
Everyone should hit. All right. If you're on the team, you hit.
All right, here's the deal. And you, my friend, come from the roller derby world, so you're probably going to get this analogy more than most. I am a blocker. Look at me. I'm 205 pounds of hell yeah, I'm going to kick your ass. And I will do whatever it takes. If you are my jammer, I will protect you until my last dying breath. And if you are not my jammer, I will ruin your day and rip your face off. That being said, the jammer is the one that scores points, right?
Yeah.
The sprinty, agile, not necessarily small, not necessarily skinny, like any size can jam. It just depends on your lung capacity. And, I got the asthmas. If my captain says, Capone, I need you to jam, which I do at practice all the time, because that's the best way to know what you need as a jammer is for me to, as a blocker, play that role. So I know
Yeah.
what you need for me to do. I will jam if I need to. Am I our star jammer that we're going to put on the line in a tournament? Probably not. Can I eke out a couple points? Hell yeah, I can.
So
Why can't pitchers learn how to bat? Like, are you kidding me?
and
Like
some do. I mean, okay, back to the road.
Carlos Zambrano, like,
Yeah.
know.
Noah Syndergaard hits.
Oh,
Bartolo Colon hit a home run. I was watching that game, and it was great because I was watching it with my roommate, she's not into baseball at all. But I was like, look, Bartolo Colon. He's like, he's got the physique of Bartolo. I was like, he doesn't hit great, but when he does, it's magical. And that was the game he hit the home run. And he went.
John Lester, when his entire career until 2016 was the first time he ever hit a home run. Yeah. He barely even gets on base. And when he did, the entirety of Wrigley Field, it was great because I was beer vending underneath the center field scoreboard. I was working out with my work spouse Tony out there. He has a beer stand right underneath the scoreboard, so I was assisting him that day, and everybody threw their beers into the sky because everybody was like, "Wah!" Like, it was amazing. It was like if the snow miser could suddenly go to Florida and still not melt. Like, it was so cool,
Yeah. I mean, back to the roller derby analogy. I want to shout out my my amazingly patient girlfriend who skated for 8 years.
Oh, with who?
With Connecticut.
Oh yeah, duh. Sorry, I've had a lot of concussions.
That's fine. She was very much like blocker 95% of the time. But there are times where she put the star on. There was a game I was coaching. This was way before we were dating. We didn't start dating till recently, so no impropriety. Where I needed her. It was at the end of a half, and I just needed to give everybody a break. I just gave her a star, and I was like, "Look, give me a minute, and give me a minute," because we were like a minute and 20 from half. I was like, "Just give me a minute." She went out there and got us 25 points. It happened.
I mean, that's insane.
Yeah,
that's great.
She's great.
I mean, there's like your rostered jammers, like the people that are your point scorers, and then there's the utility jammers, the people that will go out there and get the job done. Maybe not stand out, but stand out indeed. And I feel like every pitcher, you should be able to play any position. Like Mark DeRosa, when he was on the Chicago Cubs, me and my dudes would always joke like his jersey number is 7 because he plays 7 different positions. Like,
love those guys.
Hell yeah. It's like you got to be versatile. There's no reason to ever not step up. If you're skip, if you're captain, if you're manager, if you're skipper, however you want to call it, if they say, "Yo, I need you to do this, Capone," you go, "I'm on it," and you don't question it. Like, for example, hey, we need you to do commentary because Rich can't get out of Florida and we can't get a signal to him to do it remotely.
Yeah.
And I was like, in my brain, the hamster was like running on the wheel and like had a seizure, like just fell off. And then I was like, yeah, I'll do it. No problem.
Yeah. Just,
you know what I mean?
Do it. Let's go nuts.
Just got to do it. Like, I hate the DH. Ugh. There's give me a good reason. There is none.
No, there isn't. You can give me the extending career line. That's all you, and it's not a valid argument to me. It isn't. I'm sorry. If you're
absolutely not.
If you're on the field, you can swing a bat, and even if you I remember who was it? One of the Yankees World Series, like freaking Andy Pettitte goes up there with like his warm up jacket on, and they had to tell him to take it off. I'm like, oh God, prepare your guys, please, because it's just.
Get a clue.
Look, if Bartolo Colon can get up there and hit a home run out of Petco Park of all places, mind you.
Yeah, really, which has a like insanely huge outfield.
Yeah, their outfield. That outfield is where like fly balls go to die, and he jerked one over the left field fence. Don't give me this crap that people can't pitch. When Bartolo Colon, who has been playing since I was a child,
I've always wondered if Petco Park is set up that way because it was named Petco Park from the jump. And that hill in the outfield, I don't know if they still do it, but I know one of the times I was there, you pay like $5 and you sit on it and you could take your dog. You could take your pets as long as they're on leashes. So I wonder if that's why the outfield is so deep.
So out there?
Yeah, because like you don't want to have little pupster being like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the Mets do bark at the park fairly.
Same with the White Sox.
I think they do it every couple months. Hopefully I get back to a game whenever we're allowed back. That's going to be next season. Maybe we'll see how that goes.
I just hope. Like you asked earlier, and I'm so sorry that I never got to answering it. I don't know when Freelance is going to be running anything, but I would imagine anybody in Chicago running out of venues, it probably wouldn't be until at least May, would be my guess. And I don't know, I have no way of knowing. You know, as a vendor, we haven't really gotten a ton of communication. And I don't, everybody's like, oh, that sucks, they should know. But it's like, well, we don't even know how to deal with this pandemic, let alone how to allow 42,000 drunk people back into Wrigley Field that are paying my rent and my Disney habit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just, as a Cubs fan, I'm eternally optimistic, but as a Cubs fan, I'm also cautiously optimistic. So I'm not going to tell myself that I'm working on opening day. I'm going to plan to be in Arizona for that spring opener. But
Yeah.
if not, then I just hope that everybody stays safe and healthy and does whatever they can to find whatever normalcy they can while being considerate and kind to other people. Like, you know, I don't know. I feel really lucky that I have such wonderful jobs that I'm so passionate about. Like, some people just hate their jobs. And I figure, I know it sounds so cheesy and I know it's like a corporate training line, but if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I feel like I don't ever, oh, I have to go to work. Like, even going today to Pro Wrestling Tees to heat press t-shirts, I was so happy to get to like heat press t-shirts and talk about wrestling, you know.
I see it as my job allows me to indulge my bad habits. My job is a very basic type of job, but I get to listen to podcasts and I get to absorb info that way and listen to sports talk radio, which I enjoy. Just got to find the good stuff to listen to.
Well, and don't get me wrong, it's not all, you know, old styles and happiness in the sunshine. I work a lot of like 42-degree days that are raining and I'm covered in hail, but I have to stand there all day because in case one Cubs fan saunters out onto the patio to my beer stand and needs a cold beer, I have to be there. And you know what? I don't mind doing it. And that's just not me saying that I'm putting on face. It's like, I think about it like this. I've worked at Wrigley Field. This would have been my 16th year, asterisk on the career for me. So next year, hopefully, will be my 16th year. I get to be at a place every single day that people wait their whole lives to go to. And if it's freezing and it's pouring rain and it's miserable, I still want to make sure that they have an awesome time because this might be their only game the third Tuesday in April of their entire life that they're going to go to the ballpark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and like, it sounds so stupid, but like, somebody at home just ordered the freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy, and I legit bust out a ruler and make sure it's like not crooked and centered and like appropriate, so that way it's not like freshly squeezed. Like, somebody's so stoked about Shotzi Blackheart that they want to like represent. So make sure that that shirt looks good. Like, just, you know, take pride in what you do, whether it's getting people drunk or getting people wrestle tees.
All right. Dodgers Braves 2-1 top four. Someone on the Braves someone Dodgers just hit a home run. I forget who it was. But Justin Turner.
Justin Turner, what did he do?
No, he's at bat right now.
Okay.
With his amazing hair, and he was a Met. He just didn't play well. He played okay, but the Mets just couldn't find a spot for him. Travis d'Arnaud, former Met too, who's playing well. He's raking.
I love Justin Turner, even though he was a Cubs killer for a while there, because, and it's so great that they embraced it. He looks like a human version of Animal from the Muppets.
Basically, okay, it's not Pop Fly. He's left field. He's out.
I love Justin Turner. I hate whenever he plays against the Cubs because he always brutalizes us. But
that beard is epic.
I'm not saying no. I'm also like mildly in love with Sami Zayn, so we're all good here. But you know, the scruffy bearded redhead is great in my book. But so if I don't say
Gingers,
go blue team, because
back to Gingers, Gary J absconding with the IWTV title. No bueno, bud. No bueno.
Stole it, put it on like Craigslist. Like, are you kidding me?
And he was asking $800 for it. He should know better. He should know that no one's going to pay $800 for that.
I mean, really?
Maybe.
I mean,
maybe, I don't know. Maybe I was overshooting. Who knows?
You never know.
I wonder if you got any offers.
But the worst part is that the people that work at the venue, the people that were like volunteering and working the whole weekend and taking the gear, they're the ones that were getting called out because they lost it. And it's like, this dude had a beef with Warhorse, so he just stole the title. Like, what is up with that? Ugh. Normally, I adore him, but I got some
It
words
was
for the Gary J movement.
we saw so before I let you go, because quick Garrett J story, my first experience. So he was coming to Beyond. He had won the Discovery Gauntlet a bunch of weeks in a row up there, and he got knocked off by Aaron Rourke, who's a up and coming star up here in New England.
Aaron
Um,
Rourke, like Mickey Rourke, but Aaron.
yeah,
Okay, just because I
he,
want to know who to look
yeah,
out for. Sorry.
Yeah, Aaron Rourke. He's on Twitter at Perfect Aaron.
Oh, okay, cool.
He is very much in like the vein of like in Adrian Street. He does like kind of like this face thing where he's got like glitter stuff and makeup. It's really his presentation is great.
There's glitter involved. I
There
love
is.
him
There's
already.
glitter and a cape involved.
Ooh,
More capes in wrestling. Not everybody
agreed.
needs a cape, but more we need more capes. Just a couple more, a few more capes.
I feel you there.
Um, you know, wearing the t-shirt out's great, but give me a little theater. Give me a little theater. Little
Yeah,
bit.
I mean, Warhorse and Danhausen, Warhausen came out. They definitely had the capes going, and I was like, yes.
So watching him, and people love Gary J. They're really into like the scrappy guy, and I was like,
Well, yeah, and he's a really fun, good
yeah,
wrestler to watch. So
to see like the styles clash between like him and this kid Aaron Rourke, who's very like polished and straightforward, but like the first thing he did, the bell rang, he just ran over and hit Gary J in the mouth as soon as the bell rang.
I mean, sometimes you gotta.
Yeah, and he was like, and there was a couple of shots where Gary J got him, like lit him up like hard in the this area, but he just kept powering through and got the pin. But yeah, he's gonna steal the IWTV title now. Now he's got Warriors mad at him, and
Yeah.
I that's not a thing I don't think anybody wants.
No, that does not rule ass, if you will.
It's just
No, he's
um,
he's a very intense guy, like in the best of ways. Like I got to interview him post match when Brian Pillman all but like destroyed him on the field at Warrior. And I was just talking to him how I am to you, and he was just like, say it all caps. So I was like, okay. Like, but he's great. He's so much fun. He is so good at wrestling. He's just I just love watching Warhorse. And also I'm a huge Iron Maiden fan. So
okay.
the Warhorse like Maiden tribute tee is one of my favorite t-shirts I own. So
I share the opinion on Iron Maiden that Henry Rollins shares on Bruce Dickinson. That I appreciate the fans; they're very super, almost too super sometimes, but they love their Bruce Dickinson and his supposed philosophizing.
so one of my ultimate dream goal careers is to be a flight attendant on Ed Force One. That's Iron Maiden's plane that they tour in that Bruce Dickinson
Well,
pilots.
he
So
flies it.
yeah, he
Wow.
flies
Okay.
them. He flies them. Like Flight 666 is a great tour documentary. Like I love documentaries. And so like as a bartender, I feel like I'm really good at customer service. So and I used to be a door guy that happens to be a girl, like security at like punk rock venues. So I know what to do if a fight breaks out. I know the basic first aid. Like I feel like I'd be a good flight attendant. I enjoy travel. So my ultimate career goal to get paid to talk about wrestling and roller derby for a living, which I'm starting to do commentary. We'll see what happens. But flight attendant on Air 666.
Flights.
One, I mean, oh, so good. Like I have a Iron Maiden tattoo, and only Iron Maiden fans get it.
Okay.
So if any of you ever see me in person, ask me to show you my Iron Maiden tattoo, and you'll get it right away. Like
Yeah.
only Maiden fans, like up the irons. Only Maiden fans truly get it. So
Yeah, but yeah, if you can ever track down it's one of Henry Rollins' spoken word things where he talks about opening for Maiden with the Henry Rollins band and just the experience of opening for Iron Maiden, because like his thing was like, you're not Maiden. He's like, you're in the way.
yeah,
And he's like, people up there going Maiden, and he's like, yeah, we're just up here trying to do our band thing. Like, no, you're in the way of them getting to Maiden.
like Rollins band or like Black Flag or
No,
like
Rollins band.
okay, because I was like, whoa, Black Flag and Iron Maiden. He just blew my mind.
Yeah, but like they opened for Maiden on a tour, and he said it was a singular experience.
Oh wow, I couldn't even imagine. because like so my roots are steeped in music. Both my parents were roadies, so
Oh,
I
really? Oh.
quite literally I've seen every single Iron Maiden US tour. I was like a toddler at some of them, but yeah, I have seen every single Iron Maiden US tour, and
Wow.
I don't care if they play until they're 89 or until I'm 89. I will see every single Iron Maiden US tour. And sometimes you see them multiple times on the same tour and multiple legs of tours. And it's pretty funny because I do love Katy Perry so much. I love Taylor Swift. I'm a huge Gaga girl. Like, I love pop music, but Iron Maiden is so perfect.
Kind
Sorry,
of like
moving right
that
on.
with
Sorry, Hank.
kind of like that with Wu Tang. I remember being at some random club in Brooklyn one evening after a Mets game, and Method and Red just showed up on stage and just did like Wu Tang stuff for 2 hours just because they felt like doing it. So I'm a big fan of Wu Tang. Maybe not as intense as that, but we all like our music. Val, thanks so much. We
Yeah, music. That's why I got the boom box because also boom, boom, boom. But
Oh, there
yeah.
you go. Gun show. So we've talked wrestling, we've talked roller derby, we've talked baseball. Um, Still 2-1, bottom four.
I
Uh,
also kind of would be okay with the Braves winning just because my boy JD Drake, he's such a huge Braves fan,
oh, is he Braves guy? Okay.
big Braves guy, and like we are always talking baseball, like randomly texting each other about like the season coming up, and if the Cubbies are playing the Braves, like, well, this will be the one weekend we don't get along at all, like yeah. I
I
saw
feel
him
like
this weekend
maybe
at the collective.
I feel like maybe if I met him because I'm a Mets fan, we're natural and natural enemies, Mets and Braves
Yeah,
fans. But I
yeah,
feel like
it would be like Frank the Clown and Val Capone. Yeah.
it'd be like I feel like I could I like JD Drake. I respect what he does, but like he's a Braves fan, and it's just like nice to
Yeah,
meet
see,
you.
like I like Robert Ego Anthony and I respect what he does, but Frank the Clown. So,
Frank the
you
Clown
know.
Frank the Clown exists, so that's why there's this tension here.
Uh,
Val, where can people find you? Is anything coming up you want to promote?
well, tomorrow night I will be doing commentary on Fight TV for Zello. The show must go on. There will be some more Zello dates announced soon, and like I said, I potentially will be in Texas. If not, you can always find me on Twitter at Val Capone. It's all one word. And on Instagram at Valfonts. Everybody thinks my name is Valerie. And although that's a magnificent song by Steve Winwood and Amy Winehouse, it is Valfonts because I'm named after Alphonse. So it's on Instagram, it's at VALPHONSE. If you like a lot of pictures about wrestling and Disney and, just dorkiness, yeah, give me a follow. You know.
And Mandalorian season 2 coming up. Folks, get on
Oh,
that.
I can't wait. And it's like the best of both worlds because it's Star Wars, it's Disney, and Sasha Banks is on it.
I feel like people are going to be like disappointed. Like I feel like she'll be in it for like all of 20 seconds, and then like that's it. Like she's like just
Isn't that
watching.
Star Wars fans though? As the girl drinks from the Rise of the Resistance cup that I bought the day that Galaxy's Edge opened up at Disney World?
Nice.
I mean, isn't that just like Star Wars fandom? Like they're like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, I really don't appreciate that they brought this WWE superstar, even though she's magnificent, into the Star Wars universe. Like,
Oh, you just got all of it. You just encapsulated it.
dude, I have Rebellion right there and Imperial right there, and I cannot tell you how many times people will just walk up to me and be like, excuse me, excuse me. I'm like, first off, you don't know me, you don't touch me.
Why are you touching me?
Girl, bye. Like, do you want me to break all your fingers? Because I'm about to.
What is this with like I always hear these stories, and I have a number of friends who have different tattoos and such, and I
I'm
always like
not a pedigree dog. Don't
yeah.
touch my body
I have these whole.
unless
I
I
always
give
hear
you
these stories
permission.
about like people touching tats. Like, why are people just like touching you unsolicited? Like, what
Ugh,
is that?
so gross. Anyway, so people are always like, you have to choose a side. And I'm like, actually, you don't. And that's the beauty of it. There should be balance in the force. You can have the good and the evil that is sometimes good and sometimes evil. Like, I don't know.
And that's pretty much that. Again, Val, thanks so much. We're still going to talk Star Wars after this because I want to edit this and be all professional. But you can find Val at all those things. We've got
Freelance,
yep, and
Underground,
I'm gonna
Warriors,
announce
Zello.
Zello, she's got all her stuff. I've got Christian Casanova coming in the next, hopefully, week or so. We're trying to sort that out. I've been trying to talk to him for a bit. It's going to be great. We're going to have a great conversation. And folks, be decent to each other. Wear a mask. Drink water.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Like, legit wash your hands. Don't just, like, do this. Like, get in there. And mask goes over your nose one more time before we go. See? Like.
And just for the record, this is not a mask.
No.
Don't be so rude to the people that are selling you the groceries, that are giving you the coffee. Like, take the 5 seconds that it takes to be a decent human and take your mask, put it on over your nose and your mouth. And you know what? What is it? If Kane can wrestle in a mask, if Slipknot can wear them on stage for all that time, like, come on. You can
If your dentist can wear a mask for all the stuff he does, you can wear one for like the 15 minutes it takes for you to go grocery shopping.
If your surgeons didn't wear a mask, where would you be? You know?
Infected. That's where you would be. So that's it, folks. Have a great one.